will your championship side finish in the league this season? Hello and welcome to the Blue Dragon YouTube channel, your home of all things Premier League and Championship football. Today I'll be taking you through every side in the Championship and where I think they're going to finish in the league in the 24/25 season, so I hope you enjoy it. I'll be discussing the latest transfer news, taking into account transfers and pre-season, and other factors that may contribute to them being where they are. Please do not take offense to any of these protections, as honestly, I could be utterly and totally wrong, but also feel free to put your 1 to 24 predictions in the comments below. Subscribe to join the army, don't take offense. Leave a like if you enjoy it, and let's jump in for every single team in the Championship. This video took me ages, so if you did enjoy it, then please leave a like or share it around. Also, let me know how I can improve my videos in the comments below. In at 24th position, unfortunately, we have gone with Oxford United. I don't think this squad is ready for the Championship, quite frankly. I think last season they were quite lucky in getting into the playoffs. I think the side that they did face in Bolton in the playoff final is not the best version of themselves, and I don't really think they deserve to be in the Championship, to be honest, but I do, as with every Championship side, hopefully do well. Notably, they have lost Josh Murphy to Portsmouth. I don't think they have enough talented players in their squad to compete at this level, but one player who did stand out to me in League One was Cameron Brannigan, of course, who, as many of you will know, scored 12 goals and had 9 assists overall. I don't think they'll be good enough and not up to Championship standard, so for now, in 24th place, I have Oxford United. Next up, quite controversially, I've got Plymouth Argyle, who did struggle last season in the Championship, finishing around 21 st. And it looks like they're going to lose Morgan Whittaker, who scored 19 goals in the league last season for the Greens. Also, I'm not sure about Wayne Rooney. I think that's one of the major talking points surrounding Plymouth. I think if he's sacked by about December, I can't see them really recovering from it, but he didn't do well at Birmingham. He only won 2 games bad and haven't got the best quality squad, but luckily they got quite a good start to the campaign with quite an easy running with QPR, Stoke and Blackburn all in their first couple of fixtures. They signed Sissoko along from Toulouse, but he didn't do much to win Toulouse. He didn't get much game time, so I'm not sure about him, but overall I'm just not feeling it for Plymouth next season. But obviously they might not survive, but I can't see them staying up next year, so in 23rd position I've got Plymouth Argyle. Now in at 22nd place I've got Blackburn Rovers. Now they have been in around the Championship for ages now, but next season I see them being relegated. Unfortunately, they have got some decent players such as Tyrese Dolan, and the thing is with Blackburn Rovers, they always seem to get themselves out of trouble, but I don't think they'll be able to do it this time. Last season I think John Eustace pulled a bit of a rabbit out the hat with Blackburn keeping them up, but I'm not sure about the signings that they brought in, and overall I got a bad feeling about this Blackburn squad, and they were quite lucky over last couple of campaigns, but I can see them descending further down the Championship table if they get a bad start, and they've got quite a difficult start the campaign, so for me I don't think John will be enough to keep them up, but they do have a lot of quality in that squad, so that could see them go up. I think it'll go right down to the wire, but unfortunately for me, I see Blackburn Rovers finishing in 22nd position next season and be relegated back to League One. Now, just about surviving the drop, I've got Derby County, who last season finished 2nd in League One. This could be a very tight decision that could go down to possibly the final day, but I think Derby do have the place to do it and stay up in the Championship. They want to re-establish themselves as a Championship club after a couple of years away. They've got some decent players with the likes of Nathaniel Mendes-Lang, James Collins and Nelson. They storm League One all season, but I'm not sure that Paul Warne has got enough experience of doing well in the Championship, as he struggled in this league with Rotherham United. He knows how to get out of League One, but it seems like he just can't stick the Championship. But again, they've got some really quality players. For me, I think I'll just do it. That squad of players surely is enough to keep them up in the Championship, so for now in 21st position I've got Derby County. Now also just surviving a quite controversial one I picked is in 20 position Swansea City Football Club. Now I think I'll get a lot of stick for this one, but hear me out right, just listen to what I got to say. They have been on a downward trajectory for quite some time now. A couple of seasons ago they finished 10th, last season they finished 13th. It's been a bit wobbly, and the ownership of the club hasn't been great in recent times. They brought in EOM, he looks a solid player, but I'm still not convinced by the manager Luke Williams, and unfortunately I'm not convinced by the squad as a whole. Some bright lights in the squad contain Matt Grimes like in pre-season. They recently defeated Swindon in pre-season, but I don't think you can write home too much about that, but I just have a funny feeling that Swansea will struggle next season, and they are on a downward trajectory at the moment. I don't know where they're going to finish, but it's a bit of a tricky one. They could finish anywhere from 7th to 20th to around here, but for now, in 20th position, I've got Swansea City Football Club. Now also just surviving, I've got Millwall in 19th. They ended last season very well, but I can't see them carrying that momentum into this campaign. But also I think Millwall Football Club is far too big of a club to be in League One. But one of the things that really gets me about Millwall is their playing style. They haven't seemed to be able to adapt to the 21st century, but that in itself is another video. They got a poor playing style, unfortunately. I can see them slipping down the table further and further with more passing-based teams in the championships with more advanced style of play. I can't see Millwall coping very well, but slightly better than Swansea last season, and quite ironically I've put them one place ahead of them this season. I can see both of these sides, who were mid-table last season, slipping right down the league. I think this is a big shout, but for me it has to be so. 19th position, I've gone with Millwall Football Club. 18th position on my list is Stoke City Football Club. They always finish around this place in the league. Last season, they finished 17th. This year, accident finishing one position lower than that in 18th. Last season was a more competitive championship season. I think they were tough sides last year. I can't see them unfortunately improving on last time out, and I am worried about the direction of Stoke City as a club. Because if you're not going forward, you're going backwards, and they always seem to be in the same position. I think eventually time will catch up to them, and they will end up slipping further and further down the league, and eventually we could be looking at Stoke City in League One. They've got tough starts with the season, playing West Brom on Coventry, but some a good sign that amazes. They brought in Victor Johansson from Rotherham and Gibson from Norwich, who both solid additions to the squad, but things are looking up for Stoke City as they won both of their pre-season fixtures 3-0 and 5-0, but still for now in 18th position I've got Stoke City. In at 17th is Queen's Park Rangers. They just about survived last season. One of the best moments of their season last season must be defeating Leeds for 0 at home. They're also robbed against West Brom at home. But despite all this, they did manage to stay up. Outgoings is they lost Chris Willock to Cardiff City Football Club. They recently just lost 2-0 to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club in a solid performance. I can imagine they've got all in all quite a low quality squad, but I think it's enough to stay up this season. I think they'll be looking to build on what was quite a miserable season for them last season, and has been for the last couple of seasons, so I think they will improve a little bit, as I think the standard the league has also dropped, but I think they will quietly go up and they'll advance up the league, but I still can't see them getting into mid-table places. So for now in 17th position, surviving by a little bit, is Queen's Park Rangers. 16th place on my list is Bristol City, who are definitely the Crystal Palace of the Championship. They consecutively finish 11th in the league, but to some surprise this season I have put them away from their mid-table standings to put them in the lower mid-table standings. I'm not sure about the direction of the club. Well, I think this Bristol City project could go either way. I think they could end up into playoffs, or could they end in 16th? I back them to finish 16th this season, and this is why. The football club itself is not run well. Do you remember when they sold Alex Scott to Bournemouth for a lot of money? They didn't reinvest it back in the club. Still not sure about the ownership and the direction, but some positive news for Bristol City fans is they have brought in Sinclair Armstrong from Queen's Park Rangers, who looks like he'll bag some goals within next season. But all in all, things will be another average season for Bristol City, but slightly worse. But again, they could totally prove me wrong and finish about 6th position, so we'll see with this Bristol City side. But for now I back Bristol City to finish in 16th position. Next up in 15th position, so many people surprised about Sunderland Football Club, who at the moment are not doing too well. Didn't end last season very well. They started off quite well there. They started off in the playoff places, but they dropped off massively last season, apparently finish around 14th or 15th, but I predict them to do the same this season. I think they'll start again well, but I think they will unfortunately drop off towards the end of the season. But they do have some great players this, such as Jack Clark. I saw him play live in the flesh, and he was absolutely amazing. They have brought in Alan Brown from Preston, who I think is a positive signing, and I'm not sure about Regis Libras, who is their manager. They had a poor season last season, and they'll be hoping to be more advanced this season this time around, but important, I can't see it happening. So for me, I see them finishing almost identical placed as last year, in at 15th position. Now we have a very tricky side to predict this season, and in 14th position is Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. Will they push on from last season? Well, I've predicted them that they will. I don't think that they'll push on as much as many people have expected them to, but I think if they keep backing Danny Roll in the transfer market, he's an amazing manager, and he will force them to finish around mid-table again. They've got quite good players there, and they've signed Chalobah from West Brom, who again, I think that's a decent signing. Danny Roll knows his way around not just the British transfer market, but the European transfer market. They could even push for the playoffs, but recently they did lose 4-0 to Salzburg, of course in Austria, but I don't think you can really factor in pre-season in these kinds of circumstances. So for now, in 14th place, I've got Sheffield Wednesday Football Club, who could finish anywhere from 1st to 24th, to be honest with you. But for now, they're 14th for me. 13th position on my list is again another quite mid-table side in the Championship this season, and that is going to be Watford Football Club. They finished, I think, 11th last season, and they've got a mid-table squad. I do like the manager Cleverly. I think he's a good manager. They recently haven't been on the best run in pre-season. They've recently lost 2-0 to Gillingham. They have signed a player from Celtic. I can't tell you much about him, because I've never seen him play. I think Watford are a tricky club, just like Sheffield Wednesday. To predict, now, they could also finish anywhere from 1st to 24th, but they've got a very solid side, and they've got a solid goalkeeper. I think this squad screams mid-table for me, so for me, if they bring in some more talented players, they could advance, maybe push for the playoffs. Now in 12th position on my list, it has to be only one side who was going to finish here for me right from the off, and that is Portsmouth Football Club. They were just promoted from League One as they stormed the 3rd division of English football. I think they have a very talented squad with the likes of Marlon Pack and Code leading the line. Portsmouth, as I said, stormed League One last season, and they will want to re-establish themselves as a solid Championship side. I don't think that they'll be able to do what Ipswich did last season. I think that was a 1-in-a-million shot, but I think if they nail recruitment in the summer transfer window and they're bringing some more talented players, then they could end up pushing for the playoffs, and they could be promoted actually. But for me, I think that's a bit unrealistic. They had 97 points in the 3rd division last season, which was about the same as Ipswich. I think they'll finish comfortably about mid-table, and they will finish solidly, and I think they should be happy with that. And then next season, then in the 2025/2026 season, they should look to build for playoffs. But for now, I think this season about re-establish themselves as a Championship side and not getting involved in any kind of relegation battle or anything along those lines. I think they'll be comfortable, but we'll have to wait and see. But for now, slap bang in the middle, it's Portsmouth Football Club. 11th position, and I have gone with Hull City Football Club. There's a lot going on at the moment. Last season, they couldn't quite crack the playoffs, and because of that they ended up sacking their manager. But there has been some positives for Hull in recent times. They recently bought in Ryan Giles, who I really like as an attacking option for Hull. They got him for £4 million. They recently lost 5-1 to Fenerbahce of Turkey, who are quite good side. So I wouldn't be too sad about that. Also another Massive thing that's happened in Hull City recently is they've sold Jadon Philogeny to Aston Villa for £14 million. He is some player, and they will surely miss him next season, but with that money I think is all about how reinvesting that back into the squad, and I think that is what they will do. Don't think they will to crack the players as they did last season. I think they have a bit of a wobble here and there in their season, but if they hit form at the right time, and who knows, they could end up in the playoffs, but mid-table, but they're a solid side, and always will be, but they could again look up into the upper bits of the championship table, but there are some good signs surrounding the playoffs right now. So for me, in 11th position is Hull City Football Club. 10th position on my list, and missing out by a little bit from the playoffs, is Preston North End. They recently lost Alan Brown to Sunderland, and I think that is quite a big dent for Preston. I think they will again be in the hunt for playoffs, as they have been for the last million seasons again. I just don't think they have enough firepower in that squad to really crack the top 6. This is where Preston usually finish, around 10th position. This is like their home. They don't want to leave here. They never slip further down than 12, but never go further up than about 8th. Need to invest in this squad, and that's the only way the world's going into the top 6. They've been in the championship now for so long, it's been years, but I do think that Preston will be able to challenge for the playoffs again, as they have been in recent years. They have signed Sam Greenwood from Leeds on loan, and I think that'll be great addition to their attacking lineup. They recently lost the Southport in pre-season 2-1 who in the National League North, so that's not very good for them, is it? But again, they got solid championship level squads. I like the squad, I like the gaffer, so for me in 10th position it has to be Preston North End. 9th place on my list goes to Sheffield United Football Club. Alright, here's the thing, I don't think they'll just be able to make playoffs, but they have an amazing squad, and the thing that makes me want to put them in 9th is just that after being slapped around in the Premier League for 12 months, will they still have the energy? Will they still have that same drive to go again and get promoted? And the answer is I don't think they will, but as I said, they have made some great signings. They brought in Callum O'Hare from Coventry City, and also Kiefer Moore, who we know can do it at this level, and a massive addition to their attacking lineup. I think he could score 20 plus goals from next season, but I just can't see them progressing into the automatic places, and I think they might just finish outside of the playoffs. Unfortunately for Blades fans, they have good attacking options and a good defense, but will they be able to come together in difficult moments in this championship season? We'll have to wait and see, but for now, a 9th position, I've got Sheffield United Football Club. Okay, now quite controversially in at 8th, I've got Cardiff City. Now before you make assumptions, I'm just going to say that this decision was completely unbiased. We've been going very well in pre-season. We recently beat Hamburg SV 3-0 in Austria, and we beat local side Bridgend, who aren't very good by the way, but we beat them 7-1. I like the signs that we've made. We've signed the likes of Callum Chambers and Chris Willock from Queen's Park Rangers, and they will definitely help Cardiff with our attacking options. And finally, after 5 years, there's finally a bit of stability with Cardiff, but we now know that Errol Bullitt is going to be the Cardiff manager for the next 2 seasons if he doesn't get sacked. Last season, we proved a lot of people wrong and finished 12th, and I think we'll do the same this season. A lot of people still predicting us to finish low down in championship table, and I just can't see it personally. I think we still can progress further and further. Thing got good solid squad. We don't play the most exciting brand of football at times, but it gets results. I think we will challenge the playoffs. I think we'll miss out by a little bit in the end, but I think we have a good solid season to build in once again, as the club now finally look like going in an upwards trajectory. So for me in 8th position, I've got Cardiff City Football Club. Now 7th place on my list might come as a bit of surprise for many people, as some people have predicted this side to finish in the playoffs. Understandably, I got Coventry City just outside the playoffs. They were really unlucky last time out, and I can see them being really unlucky this time. I can see them having another good season, but last season I think the main thing that was holding him back was that FA Cup run, which was great for the club, don't get me wrong, but it did distract from their league performances. They didn't have the killing instinct to get into the playoffs in the end, but they will look to attack the playoffs next season. I thought they could well do it too, after I just got a funny feeling they don't have the players there to really go for the playoffs next season, especially With the quality in the Championship next season, as I said, they lost Callum Maher to Sheffield United, so that was a big blow for them. But Haji Wright is a great player, Da Silva is a great player, they've still got quality in amongst their ranks, and I can see them finishing in the playoffs, but for me this other side just beats them, so in 7th place I've got Coventry City. Next up is now in our 6th position. I've got Middlesbrough Football Club. They did very well last season, finishing just outside the playoffs. I think this season again, they will push on. They have a solid club level, solid fan base. It deserves to be in the Premier League. But will they get there this time? Well, I think we'll definitely get the players. They could go down to the final day. I think it will be between them and Coventry. They're always in and around the playoffs most seasons. They brought in some solid squad players like Luke Ayling. They recently beat Bolton 3-0 in pre-season, so that's quite good overall. I've got positive feeling about this Middlesbrough side. I think surely they're good enough for the playoffs this time, just taking up that 6th position, beating out Coventry Football Club and Sheffield United Football Club. They've got the players, they've got the fan base. Can they go all the way in at 6th position? I've got Middlesbrough Football Club. 5th place on my list is Luton Town. They almost survived last season in the Premiership, became very close, but I don't think they've got the killer instinct to make it into those automatic places. A lot of the players they had last season were on loan, players like Ryan Giles. They almost sure last season. They got great manager in Rob Edwards who really cares about the club. We saw him cry when Luton were eventually relegated. They upset some big teams, notably they drew 1-1 with Liverpool at home. They're not doing too well pre-season. They've recorded back-to-back losses so far, but one of the main reasons why I've put Luton in this position is cause they have got more experience of when they actually went up, but there are more quality teams in this championship, more well-rounded teams, and Luton Town are still a little bit of an outsider, and they still a bit of a small club even for the Championship, let alone the Premier League. I don't think they have the budget to compete with the 4 sides above them. That's one main reason, but who knows that they're a well-run club, and if they recruit well and stable, then they could definitely make it back up to the Premier League. But for now, in 5th position, I've got Luton Town Football Club. 4th place, and I'm sure you can guess who it is by now. It's Norwich City Football Club. Last season, they finished in 6th place, just about scraping the playoffs and battling off the competition. They lost out last time out to Leeds, drawing 0-0 at Carrow Road, with them being thumped for 0 away at Elland Road. I think they will progress more and develop more from last season. They've recently sacked their manager after that defeat, but I think they will still have that squad a lot. They recently lost 3-0 to Club Brugge of Belgium, who are quite a decent outfit in pre-season. They've signed players that suit their style of player. This is a solid Norwich City squad. They know how to get out of this division. They've been first before, they've been second before, but for me this time I think they'll finish in 4th position and finished comfortably inside the playoffs. But would they win the playoffs? I'm not too sure about it. I don't think they will be promoted next season, but I think they were knocking on the door. They were close last season. I think they'll come close again. They've got some quality players in there, so who knows, we could be seeing Norwich back in the Premier League in a couple of years. So for now, in 4th position is Norwich City Football Club. Now going into the big 3 on my list, in 3rd position is West Bromwich Albion. They were unlucky last time out, losing to Southampton in the playoffs, also drawn 0-0 in that first leg, then losing out I think 3-1 at St Mary's, and Southampton were eventually promoted. I think this championship is a lot weaker than from last season. They finished 5th last season. That they have a really great management, Karscore Baron. They've got some great players in the likes of Cedric Kuiper and Jed Wallace and Jed Smith. I think will narrowly miss out on automatic promotion positions, but think Carlos is such a brilliant manager where he will see them into the top 3 this time out, and who knows, in a couple years time I think we'll see him managing Spain, who recently won the Euros. That's how good a manager I think Carlos, as he is a tactical genius. If they recruit well in the summer, there's no reason why I can't see them getting into the automatic positions, but I think that's a bit far-fetched for now, because I don't think they have quite as good quality of squad as the 2 in front of them. But for me, in 3rd position has to be West Bromwich Albion. Going into the Premier League next season, it must be Burnley Football Club. I understand most people haven't put them this far up in the table, as they have recently lost their manager, Vincent Kompany, of course, to Bayern Munich, but they have quality players. Jay Rodriguez is still in that squad. It could go down to the wire with West Bromwich Albion, but at the end of the day, I think Burnley know how to get out of this division. Only a couple of years ago they finished first place. They know what it takes. They have the players, they have the mindset, they have parachute payments. They've already made some big signs so far. They've already spent about £21 million, and the rest of division just can't compete with that kind of money. Parachute payments is really helping Burnley out for a championship club, but I don't think any other club in the championship is going to be able to compete with Burnley as a club. So for me, in second position is Burnley Football Club. Right, you know who it is at first place. They hated and loved across the country. It's Leeds United Football Club. Everyone, they've got brilliant manager under Daniel Farke. They've already signed Joe Rodon, who's a solid defensive option. But one thing that could make Leeds drop down the table a bit is the fact that they could be a bit deflated after last season's playoff defeat. But I think this season is a massive season, not just for this group of players, but for Leeds Football Club as a whole. If they get back up to the Premier League this season, then everything's fine. But they don't, and they stay in the Championship for another season. I could see them in this division for another 10 years. Honestly, I can see them dropping through them further down. We've already seen it. Some of their best players have gone back to their parent clubs. Archie Gray is a big miss for them, even though I think he's going for a lot of money, so they must reinvest that money back into the squad. But Leeds have always got brilliant players. The division is weaker this time around, which is one of the main reasons I think they will finish on 90+ points this season. So for me, the champions of the championship next season will be Leeds United. Okay, that is it. That is the end of this video, guys. If you enjoyed, then please leave a like, subscribe, and join the football army. Comment, what do you think your side should finish in the championship next season? What are you most excited about concerning the championship next season? Feel free to put your predictions down in the comments. A great video for you to watch would be the football rivalry video, where I go over the top 5 most fierce football rivalries in the United Kingdom. I hope you have a good day. Subscribe, join the army, and come on, boys.